This week's Parsha, Parashat Shelach, features the famous episode of the Miraglim. 12 spies are sent to explore the land of Canaan. 10 speak ill of the place and instill fear in the people, and 2, Kalev ben Yefuneh and Yoshua ben Nun, praise it. Bnei Israel, highly agitated by the bad reports, spend the night crying and lamenting their fate. They determine that they'd rather return to Egypt than proceed on to Canaan. They also deem Kalev and Yehoshua worthy of stoning. It's not a great surprise that God finds this reaction deplorable. Fed up with the ungrateful bunch, God exclaims to Moshe, Ad ana yina'atsuni ha'am hazeh v'ad ana lo ya'aminu bi. How long will this people spurn me, and how long will they have no faith in me, despite all of the signs that I have performed in their midst? I will strike them with pestilence and disown them. I will make of you, of Moshe, a nation far more numerous than they. God is essentially ready to give up on the Jewish people. Moshe, as he is wont to do, begins to lobby on behalf of the people. It will look bad to the Egyptians and to others, he says. They will think that God wasn't powerful enough to take them to Israel. But then Moshe says something else, a different argument altogether. Ve'ata yigdalna koach Adonai ka'asher dibarta lemor. Now please let the strength of the Lord be increased as you spoke. And he then recites a version of the 13 midot harachamim, the 13 attributes of God's mercy. Hashem erach apayim v'rav chesed, noseh avon v'pesha v'nakeh. God, one of mercy, abundant, slow to anger and abundantly kind, forgiving iniquity and transgression, etc. After offering a pragmatic argument to quell God's anger, Moshe tries a different tactic, a far softer one. He reflects back to God who God really is, what kind of mercy God is really capable of. It is not becoming of you, God, to act so cruelly, he seems to say. Yigdalna koach Adonai. Let your strength, your compassionate restraint show. Be a better you. In a most radical way, Moshe reminds God of who God is, and it is this that helps God relent. Vayomer Hashem salachti kidvarecha, we are immediately told, and God said, I pardon as you have asked. Back in Parshat Kitisa, God actually taught Moshe this very formula. Not long after God threatened destruction of the Jewish people on account of Chet HaEgel, God revealed the forgiveness prescription, this recitation of the 13 midot to Moshe. According to the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah 17b, on the verse Vayavor Hashem al panav vayikra, Rabbi Yochanan said, this verse teaches that the Holy One, blessed be He, wrapped himself in a talit like a leader of prayer, and said to Moshe, whenever the Jews sin before me, let them perform this procedure, and I shall forgive them. The Gemara continues, Rabbi Yehuda said, a covenant was made regarding these 13 attributes, that they would never return empty. That is to say, they would never be ineffective in bringing about God's favor. So Moshe, in our Parsha, follows the rules. He employs the formula, and God forgives. But why does this formula work? What about it is so effective? Once again, I think the answer lies in those introductory words of Moshe, emphasized in the Torah with an enlarged yud, V'ata yigdalna koach Adonai ka'asher dibarta. In other words, Moshe, with all of his humility and all of his chutzpah, stood before God and said, God, you're bigger than that. You're capable of so much more mercy, so much more kindness, so much more patience. There's a Gemara in Brachot 7a that says, it was taught, Rabbi Ishmael, the son of Elisha, said, I once entered into the innermost part of the sanctuary to offer incense, and I saw a Katri Eliyah, a name referring to the crown of God, the Lord of hosts, seated upon a high and exalted throne. He said to me, Ishmael, my son, bless me. And I said, may it be your will, God, that your mercy suppress your anger, and that your mercy prevail over your other attributes, and that you deal with your children with the attribute of mercy, and that you deal with them beyond the letter of the law. And God nodded to me with his head. There is a blessing that a human being can offer God, it seems, and that is a reminder of who God can be in the world. We can reflect God's best self, so to speak, back to God. This is the privilege and the responsibility of our deep, covenantal, reciprocal relationship cultivated over time. This audacious relationship between God and the Jewish people is also a model, I would argue, for intimate relationships between human beings. Among the many blessings of intimacy is living a life with someone who just might know you better than you. As we reveal ourselves to one another, deeper and deeper over time, we come to know layers within one another. We come to appreciate the great capacities that each individual possesses. And with that privilege of intimate knowledge comes the ability, indeed the responsibility, to remind one another of who we each can be. We all forget sometimes just how generous and compassionate we can be. We all forget sometimes what greatness we are truly capable of. It is a profound blessing to have a true partner in life to always bring you back to your best self. May we all be blessed both to have demanding partners and to be demanding partners with the people we love and also with the God we love. Shabbat Shalom.